Hey friends, welcome back to Fierce Encouragement. I'm Mark Walker, and today I wanted to slow things down so we can speed up the right things. Now, wherever you're tuning in from, whether you're out on a walk, commuting, staring at your ceiling like I was this morning, or maybe you're just trying to keep your head above the water, well, this episode's for you. Today we wanted to talk about some real things, some real stuff in our life, the resistance that shows up, the craving for simplicity and clarity, and maybe how to show up when you don't feel like it, how to stay grounded when everything around you is pulling you off course. Now, this episode is called From Resistance to Radiance, and it's not a motivational speech, it's a conversation between us, because I really struggle too, and I believe sharing that struggle is part of the medicine. You're closer than you think. That was the line I wrote to myself in my journal from a couple weeks ago. I ran into while preparing for this episode this week. You're closer than you think. I just come off a week or so of feeling kind of bad, to be honest. Some of those things that I indulged in, like a little too much sugar, and then crashing from that, and then too much late night YouTube sports spirals, and skipping my workouts and my training program, and even just ignoring my meditation cushion that was sitting in the corner. And that slow creep of those habits just didn't serve me. And still I heard it, that voice that was beneath all that noise. You're not broken, you're just cluttered. You're not broken, you're just cluttered. And Greg McKeown, in his book Essentialism, wrote, "If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will," unquote. And gosh, that really landed for me. You see, I've been living in reaction for many years and getting better at it through the years, the last few especially. But I was busy and unfulfilled. I was distracted and not at peace in my center or in my heart. So I came back to a question again and again, and I wanted to offer that question up to you. What's one thing you could say no to today so you can say yes to what really matters to you? And I think it's good to pause with that question. What could you say no to today so you could say yes to what really matters in your life, in your work, in your relationships, maybe in your energy? Thinking about me and my weightlifting and my movement workouts. We do have to meet that inner critic, that kind of that resistance in disguise. And once we slow down, we can meet them. We do feel that resistance sometimes in our body, and sometimes it's just in that inner mindset, that inner critic, and the part of you that might say, "You're not doing enough. You should have figured this out by now. And what if no one listens to this podcast or your work or what you're doing?" Stephen Pressfield, another favorite author of mine around creativity, wrote in his great book, The War of Art, he named that voice resistance. And he says this, quote, "Resistance will tell you anything to keep you from doing your work. It will perjure, fabricate, it will seduce you, it will lie. Resistance is always lying and always full of shit," unquote. And my version of that resistance, well, it shows up as scrolling. It shows up in my YouTube habits and the amount of time I'm on there. It also shows up as ice cream at 10 p.m. And that voice, well, it also says, "You've earned it. You've had a hard week. You did good this weekend. You got out for a bike ride," and all those things, right? So what do? I try to pause and look right at it and kind of say back to it, "Hey, I see you, and I'm going to show up anyway." Not to defeat that voice, but to train with it. And that's what the Awareness Lab is in a nutshell, honestly. It's a new program that I've created where we don't meditate just to have clear minds. We meditate and get together every week to watch the clutter with more self-compassion and more clarity. So check out the Awareness Lab. You can check the show notes if you're interested in that. That's a new program I've been creating over the last month, and it's going really well for some people. I've gotten some great feedback from it. And kind of thinking about that, doing our practice in the middle of the day, our Dharma in the middle of the day. We're not just trying to be productive, we're trying to live well. That's why we take on this work and maybe pay a little more attention to our thoughts or do things like journaling or kind of be more self-reflective. And that just requires more than checklists or to-do lists. It requires dharma, which is kind of an inner law. It can be translated 1,000 ways. But one way I like to look at it is kind of that law or that path that you're on. Things that really align with your values, let's say, your presence, and maybe your deeper why or your bigger purpose. Pema Chodron actually wrote this, quote, "Only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible be found in us," unquote. That means you have to risk failure, embarrassment, discomfort. You have to risk all that just to find out what really matters. And in my own life, it kind of looks like this. It looks like sitting still and meditating and working on my practice, even when my brain says it's pointless. It comes in forms for me, at least saying no to the easy dopamine hits. Too much YouTube scrolling, too much late night TV, too much ice cream. And honestly, it comes from starting again and again and again. And I've said this before on the show, but I'll say it again. Every time I seek comfort externally, I try to come back within. And when I don't, I forgive myself and I start again. And that's kind of the living with virtue in a really noisy world, living with some attempt to get better in a really distracted, busy, noisy world. So let's talk about that integrity. We are living in a time, wherever you're at, dear listener, you're living in a time where anger and outrage is rewarded. Being critical is rewarded. Quick takes, shallow observations. Shallow is winning more and more in our social, cultural world. People perform instead of reflect on a lot of social media venues and many areas. And I kind of wanted to look at Marcus Aurelius and a quote that he wrote, and it reminds us of something. Quote, "Waste no time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Unquote. Waste no time arguing for what a good man should be. Be one. So how do we do that? How do we be a good person? Well, it starts with presence. It starts with noticing our habits. And it starts with making one tiny choice that helps you build self-respect instead of undermining yourself. That brings me to a tool that I wanted to share with you. And thanks for making it this far in the program. And if you're still listening, let's totally make this worth your time. So here's your practice. What tiny act today would feel like a big moment of self-respect for you? That's it. I want you to write that down, maybe think about it for a few seconds. Let it be small. So for me today, it was lifting weights before I recorded my next episode of the podcast. Last week for me, it was journaling instead of overreading too much. I got too many books from the library recently. And some days it's just washing the dishes for 15 minutes while breathing through my nose without any inputs or podcasts or things in my ears. That's how we build real confidence, not through hacks, but through the habits of integrity. It's not a popular take, but thinking about our day in tiny acts would be like a big moment of improvement and self-respect for yourself. So really take that and use that tool, the self-respect prompt. Now, I want to tell you about the Awareness Lab because it's not just another thing I offer. It's something I've been working on for over 2 years, and it's something I need. I built it because I wanted to create a space that holds people when they fall off track, especially in their mindful awareness practice. But it's a place to practice coming back together. One participant recently shared with me, quote, "After years of juggling my monkey mind, I finally started celebrating it, just noticing that was enough," unquote. Another person shared this, quote, "For the first time in years, I feel like I'm not escaping from my mind. I'm actually making friends with it," unquote. And that's what we're doing in the Awareness Lab. We're showing up weekly to sit and share. Those are recorded, so people are tuning in asynchronously. We're also just building up small, tiny habits of attention and care and remembering who we are under all this noise that we find out there. And the lab is out there. We have weekly meditations and coaching and a private group to check in, and obviously to come ask questions and get some support. And soon, I hope to have a little blockchain twist that'll help us gamify our consistency with the Awareness Lab. So if that sounds like something you need, visit me at markwalkercoaching.com or just check out the link in the show notes. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to come back, and you are closer than you think. So to close up, just be the stillness in the storm. One of our Awareness Lab members, Dan, I'll share this, said it beautifully last time we met up. "I practice stillness, not so that I can feel enlightened, but so that when the world gets loud, I can stay quiet inside." And that's the path. Be the stillness in the storm and let love lead the way for you, and never underestimate the power of a 2-minute sit. So until next time, stay steady, stay open, keep creating habits and right mindsets from the inside out. This has been Fierce Encouragement with Mark Walker. Please subscribe, share this podcast if it really hit home with you, and of course, visit me at markwalkercoaching.com to go a little deeper, or check out the show notes. All right, wherever you're at, have a good evening, have a good day, and take care of yourself. Until next time, bye-bye.